Dr. Mark Warner's office. So thank you all for coming today. Today we're going to be talking about harness the power of self-care in 15 minutes or less. And our speaker today is Miss Lisa Michelle Smith. Miss Lisa Michelle Smith, she's the founder of the Coaching Center for MindTraining and Success. So I'm just going to let her come up and speak and kind of talk to you all. And I thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Sade. There we go. All right, so welcome everyone to harness the power of self-care. So first of all, give yourselves a hand for making it all the way up here. This room, it was like a mile hike, right, from where you just came from. So I appreciate that and the effort to get here, especially those of you who had wheels to also, scoot you along. It's great to have everybody here. I'm used to like more open space in the rooms and kind of moving around. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. So bear with me on that. But I want to get started because we've got about 50 minutes and now we're a little bit into that 50 minutes. So let's just talk about what is self-care. First of all, I love that they have the panelists just talk about this because everybody in the who wasn't in the panelists conversation. All right, all of you were. So they did half my job for me, right? They talked about self-care, the importance of it, and gave some tips. So I'm going to expand upon that in my talk today. And I know that we have some people, I think, viewing online, or they might be, viewing this at a later time. If you're in the back a little bit, make sure that you get one of these pieces of paper, so that you might not have them on your chair way back there. But I will be doing, there will be some giveaways, and I'll be talking about that in a minute. So you want to make sure you have one of those pieces of paper. I had 40, so hopefully there's enough for everybody. But basically, what is self-care? If we had a definition of it, anybody want to throw up their hand and say, what is self-care? Finding time for yourself to do what?
Take care of you.
Nothing, right? Or something that helps to improve your physical or mental, emotional, even spiritual well-being, right? So this is a definition of self-care is anything you do to take care of yourself. Sorry, there's a frog in my voice this morning. Anything you do to take care of yourself so you stay physically, mentally, and emotionally well. Self-care, a couple of attributes of self-care. It's the practice of taking deliberate actions and consistent actions over time and to improve that overall well-being. I will ask if everybody could please silence their phones so that we're not disturbed by that. Just double check, even if you think you turned it off or on silent, just double check that. And it encompasses really a wide range of things, right? There's a lot of different things that we can do for self-care, and it can be personalized to you. It can be sorry. I think there's a door back there that you can go in. So you need to make it work for you. What's going to work for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another person, right? So make sure it matches your own individual needs and goals. And the main goal of self-care is to prevent yourself from getting into problems like one of the panelists talked about, having preeclampsia, right, and going into a coma for 3 days, right? We don't want to get to that point. We actually want to prevent the disease and the illness and the burnout and the breakdowns. So preserving your overall well-being by consistently doing things. It's not going to be perfect, and you're not necessarily going to have something every single day, although ideally, and I'm going to teach you some things you can do every single day because they don't have to take a lot of time. So self-care includes things like exercise, stress management, relaxation, good sleep, things that help with our mental well-being. So let me ask you this. When and why did self-care become a bad thing? When did it become selfish? You really think about that. When were you, as a woman, as a girl even, given the message that it was wrong to take care of yourself? It was wrong to put yourself first, at least occasionally. Where do you think that came from? Think about it.
When I had children.
Any ideas?
When I had children.
Two?
I said when I had children.
When you had children, okay? But who gave you the message that when you had a child, that your mother, grandmother, society, right? Men in our lives, fathers, husbands, boyfriends, you know, and generations passed down, right? Because things are different now than it was for your mom, for your grandmom, great-grandmom, etc. So these things have been passed on for generations, right? So why do we keep buying into it? I really want to change this for women. That's one of my missions, is to stop making taking care of ourselves a bad thing. Stop the guilt and the shame that we have for ourselves, or sometimes we even do it to other women, right? So let's change that. What are some of the top reasons that you have, or women that you know have, for putting self-care on the back burner? Time. Well, what about husbands? Demanding, other people are demands. Yeah, what else? The seeming responsibilities that seem more important than you, right? Here are some of the top reasons why women give that they don't take that time. The lack of time. Now, we all have the same amount of time. Anybody have more than 24 hours in a day? Anybody figure that one out? All right, seek her at the end, and she'll give you her secrets. Oh, there we go. All right, so lack of time, but again, it's really about prioritizing your time, because we all have the same amount of time. The guilt and the shame from others. Financial priorities. We think, oh, self-care is expensive. Doesn't have to be. I'm going to be giving you some tips today. Familial and societal expectations, right? Somebody said that. And the messaging that's out there in the media, right? We're getting these messages all the time. Not having the support that we need to have some time away for ourselves, right? So that we can do some of those self-care things. Yep.
Even at number 3, you said that it costs too much. It could also be like if you're a single parent and you have to continue to work. So
okay, that's a great point. Yeah. So financial priorities, like I need to put more time into work to get more income so that I can meet my basic needs. I can take care of myself, take care of my kids, etc. Especially again, single moms who oftentimes don't have the financial support of baby daddy. And then the belief that self-care is a luxury, not a necessity. It's not a luxury. So how many of these excuses do you fall prey to? All right. Sometimes, at one time, one of these points and another. Sometimes it's every single day, every single thing, right? All right. So why does self-care matter? Why is it so important? Again, we heard some personal stories from the panelists about that, right? Because our health. I could put many slides up here of many research studies that have been done and all the ways that they show self-care is vitally important. If I'm going to spend time that, I know that you know it. I know that you get it. In the back of your mind, you get it. But the research is overwhelming. Engaging in regular self-care practices and maintaining your overall well-being, especially for a woman who's expected to be it all, right? The Wonder Woman, right? In the slim body, wearing the bikini with the baby on the hip, frying up the dinner all at the same time, right? All right. But the truth is, without those consistent practices, you're exponentially more likely to experience burnout, physical and mental burnout, the illness, the anxiety, depression. So it's, absolutely necessary. So Kara's gonna ask all of you here who are in the room, who may be watching this at some later time, let's all join forces and change this, right? Let's support ourselves and let's support other women. Don't shame and guilt ourselves. Don't shame and guilt other women. So ditch the guilt and the shame. Change the expectations and create a new, healthier perception of self-care, balanced, and self-loving. So, a new mantra that I want all of you to adopt, and I want you to say it with me now. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-preservation. Right? Let's again. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-preservation. One more time, really loud. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-preservation. All right? Drill that into your head. And if somebody ever in the future makes you feel guilty about it, that's what you want to come back with. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-preservation. And it has a ripple effect, right? So it's not just about you. Taking care of yourself helps the other people around you that you need and want to be positively impacted, right? With your family, your friends, your work environment. So take care of yourself. You're better able to handle the ups and downs, the challenges, conflicts, setbacks, disappointments. I teach a lot about resilience and give tools about resilience. So this is about resilience for what's happening in your life. And then you can't give from an empty cup. You want to give from your overflow. If you're giving a depleted portion of yourself, you're not giving your best self, and you're shortchanging those people around you who are dependent upon you or who you are trying to positively impact, influence, and take care of. Okay? So don't be a drained, resentful, unhealthy, unhappy you. Because everybody else, what's that saying? When mom ain't happy, nobody happy. Okay. So, again, we talked about the time as one of the main factors that women have for not taking that time for self-care. And as the panelists, I think all three of the panelists mentioned this, it can be small things that you do. So even if you're maybe doing something like, reading emails while you're getting the pedicure, right? Oftentimes we can combine things together. As long as, again, you're still allowing yourself to enjoy the process of getting the pedicure. So I'm going to share a few things with you from my self-care guide. So I created a self-care guide for 10 ways, 10 simple habits that you can form in 15 minutes or less to establish greater self-care on a more consistent basis. And I mentioned the little sheets that were on your chairs. If you didn't have a sheet on your chair, look for maybe one that's floating around. But there's a QR code on there as well, and if you need to, you can share with somebody who doesn't have one. But what I want you to do is, if you want to get more than the 4 pointers that I'm going to talk about today, and you want to get all 10, and a reminder of the ones that I'm covering today, then you can use that bit.ly link or the QR code that's on there at the top in blue to get that self-care guide sent to you. And then I'm going to also have a survey that I'll give you a bonus audio, hypnosis, guided relaxation audio that as a thank you for filling out that survey to let me know how you liked this talk today. So let's dive right in. Time check. All right, we're doing it. All right. Yeah, can we silence our phones?
I forgot.
That's okay. It's okay.
It's funny.
It happens. It happens. All right, so habit number 1 is create an evening wind down routine. Anybody have one of those? All right. So I'm curious, what's incorporated, for anybody who raised their hand, what's incorporated in your wind down routine?
Wine.
That's why they call it wind down, right?
Yeah.
I actually have one of my tips in the guide. I'm not covering it today. It's a little bit about that. I'm not going to take away your wine. But I actually have women contacting me now in my private practice to help them to decrease their wine consumption because they realized, especially during COVID, that's where, a lot of people said it just really ramped up from them and they're having a hard time, relaxing that again. So the wine is the comfort sometimes. Can be okay in small amounts like most things, but too much, not a good thing. Yes? Meditation app, which one? Prayer. Okay, I'm going to be talking about that as well. Anybody else? Wind down routine. What do you do in the evening to get yourself wound down from the activities of the day? Skincare routine. Awesome. How long does that take? 5 minutes. You read. Okay. What kind of things do you read? All right. Do you read in bed? Do you read somewhere else before you go to bed?
I have a little home.
You have a little corner. A little, self-care corner. I like that. Okay, so decide what you want in your routine, how long it's going to take, and then your bedtime goal. Now, there's a time estimate. Start with 15 minutes. A minimum of 15 minutes to just kind of wind down, get undressed, get into your, comfortable clothes, or your birthday suit, if that's how you like to sleep. Brush your teeth, take off your makeup, all that stuff. Maybe, put cream on your hands, your body, if you got dry skin. So start with 15 minutes, and then you can segment maybe more things. A good time frame for wind down routine for our brain is 30 minutes to an hour. Because especially when you're going 100 miles an hour during your day, right? It takes time for your brain to slow down, wind down, to be able to get into that quiet space where you can move into sleep, right? How many of you go to bed and your mind is still racing, right? And then you're like, it's racing, you're trying to stop those thoughts. One of the things that will really greatly help that is to give yourself 30 minutes to an hour of doing some things, winding down, some healthy habits. Journaling is really great, or doing what I call a brain dump. So I teach a lot of my clients, do a brain dump. Just write out whatever is on your mind, your thoughts, your angers, whatever it might be, things you need to remember to do tomorrow. Your brain was not meant to be a storage device for those kinds of things. Those menial kind of little things. So give your brain a break, write it down on paper, and go, I don't have to hold on to that and remember that. It's there on the paper to remind me, okay? So brain dump is really good. So unplug from tech. There's research that shows the blue screens from our phones, from our computers, etc., interrupt our things like our melatonin and our ability to get into a good state of sleep. So it's recommended an hour, maybe even 2 hours before you go to bed that you not have any blue screen in front of you. And if you like to read off of a Kindle, try to go to books at least before bedtime. Changing to your jammies, I mentioned that. Put music in the background. Music is naturally, depending on the kind of music that you listen to, music can amp you up, right? Music can excite you, music can also calm you. So putting on some soothing music in the background in the evening and while you're doing your wind down routine is also going to really help you. And meditation prayers, people mention that. Do a gratitude journal. Anybody have a gratitude journal? Right? Sometimes you can do that digitally. You might have one that's written out. That's really good as well. And get those next day's to-dos done. All right, habit number 2 is to increase your daily movement. Now, we all know, and we've heard, we got to move it or lose it. So exercise is so beneficial for our bodies as well as our minds. It doesn't just have to be about, I had to exercise to lose weight. Think about it as movement. Exercise, how many letters in the word exercise? 8. So exercise is not a 4-letter word. Okay? No. So move, but do it in a way that you like and that works for you. That doesn't mean going to the gym, doesn't mean, running your butt off. Yoga stretches or Pilates or I don't know, what are some movement kinds of things that people like to do? I heard something different.
Swimming.
Hitachi? Tashi, I haven't heard of that. Movement, okay, like, oh, Tai Chi, okay, got it. Tai Chi, okay. Yes, Tai Chi, I've done Tai Chi. Flowing. On the beach, I was doing Tai Chi. It was great, yes. Walk your dog, yes, great. I have a dog, get a dog. They'll force you to like get out. I got a dog 7 years ago, little Trixie, love of my life. And I walk her twice a day, 10, 15 minutes. She will not let me not let her walk, right? She will not go to the bathroom unless I'm walking her. Yes, back there.
Ride a bike around your neighborhood.
Ride a bike around your neighborhood. If you like biking, go ahead and do that. So many different options. Ellen? Have a dance party. Yeah, dance party with yourself. Yeah, dance like nobody's watching. Right? Yeah. Doing housework. So put on the music while you're doing that, so you have some sense of enjoyment with it. So the CDC says just at 75 minutes a week is enough to start to have some health benefits. So you cut that by 7 days, that's just 11 minutes a day, right? 11 minutes a day. And you can find some ways to incorporate that a little bit more easily and remind yourself, standing desk. Anybody use a standing desk? One person back there too, right? Standing desk, or just stand up at your desk. Now you got a standing desk. All right, so just get up every once in a while and move around, especially if you're sedentary during the day, you got a desk job. Set an alarm on your phone to remind you to get up and to move around a little bit, like maybe every hour or so, a minimum of every 2 hours. So get up, move around a little bit. If you're in a larger space, like in an office, or you have a larger house, walk around your house a little bit, or go outside if it's nice out, walk around. All right, a walk, as simple as a walk, can be beneficial. Let's see, walk or stretch during phone conversations or conference calls. If you're on the Zoom, turn the camera off for a moment, get up and stretch a little bit. And then that wakes your brain up too. So you ever find yourself at the Zoom and like listening to a meeting, you're like, you're doing the head bob thing. So get up, get your brain working, take deep breaths, get some oxygen to your brain, and that movement will all help you to get a little bit more alert without having to rely on coffee all the time. Because, it's a slippery slope. The more you drink, then the more kind of your brain gets dependent on that for waking you up in your energy levels. And then if you're having meetings, like say, hey, let's have a networking meeting on the boardwalk if you're here in Virginia Beach. Let's do a walking meeting, or walking teleconference or something. So find ways that you can incorporate movement into what you're already doing in the day. This is what we call habit stacking, right? That way you get the movement in, you don't have to set aside extra time just to do that. Find ways to incorporate it. And then park further away from the store if you can, right? And you're able-bodied, then don't try to find the closest parking space, right? So park further away. Take the stairs instead of the elevator, unless you're claustrophobic, and then you can come see me because I help people get over phobias like that all the time. And again, just find those ways to add a little bit more movement into your day, and it really adds up over time. Habit number 3 is to unplug from tech and screens. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Start by reducing your tech gradually. I know it's like, withdrawal, right? Anybody ever leave their phone at home and like start to freak out? Like, oh my God, I'm not in touch with, remember, who's old enough to remember payphones? Like on the corner, you had to put change in it, like, and then make the phone call. Right? So we've gotten really, really dependent on these tools that can make our life really much easier and great, but they can also be a detriment. So too much of a good thing oftentimes is not a good thing. So just start gradually. Maybe say like, 30 minutes, shut your phone off 30 minutes earlier than you normally would in the evening. So if you're doing that wind down routine, shut that phone off tell people, I had a client, she was a VP in a company, and she would constantly be on her phone in the evening after work, her family around, and we had this conversation, and she said, okay, after 5:30, I'm turning my work phone off, and I'm not gonna be available. And the difference it made in her life was just really impactful. And one of her kids even commented, he said, Mommy, I love that you're not on your phone all the time now. Okay. So we're teaching our kids, right? What's more important, the little screen in front of you or them, right? So they deserve your time. And when you're not stressed out over all those things that you're reading on your phone, social media, for example, right? Then you're going to be a healthier, happier person. You're going to be there for those that you love. When you're not using your devices, turn them off instead of leaving them in sleep mode. Then you're not tempted to constantly check them. Also, remember that those phones are emitting electro frequencies. They do affect your brain. Lots and lots of studies that show that, especially when you hold it right up against your, and I don't know if any of you know this, but if you've ever read through the manual of your phone, way near the back in really, really small print, it says not to be used within, I think it's like 10 inches or something, of your head. So even the cell phone companies know that, that's going in. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, especially again, young brains or older brains, because they have less of what we call the blood-brain barrier that protects us from those kinds of things. Turn your phone off at a specific time each night, like we said, or avoid using your computer. Maybe go on a tech fast for a weekend. Anybody ever try that? No. Tech fast for the weekend, right? Again, sometimes it's just start small. And this tip will actually give you time back. Right? I guarantee that you are wasting at least 15 minutes every day scrolling through, an unimportant email or being on social media, that kind of thing, on the phone. God, did you hear about what Sally did today? All right, so think about how you're spending your time and allocating it. Remember, it's prioritization of what you're putting in your time each day. When you're on vacation, take that time off. Let people know you're out of the office, put that message on your email, and get up, go for a walk, read a real book with pages, and I just love a real book in my hand. Anybody else? Yeah, not just me, right? Yeah. Highlight, fold the pages. I mean, you should see all the books in my library. They're all marked up and dog-eared pages, etc. Engage in a hobby or spend more time with family and friends. So unplug and get more into life. Habit number 4, take regular mental breaks. So we need to let our brains rest. It's doing so much for us every single day. All this decision making and problem solving, right? And learning new things and trying to strategize about what to do and like who to help and everything that you're doing with your job. Anybody in here retired? Okay. So when you're retired, it's important for you to engage your brain or it starts to atrophy, right? So engage your brain in positive ways. In the next hour, there's a woman who's going to be talking about brain health. So I highly recommend that. I teach about that as well. So your brain needs that exercise, and there's different things that you can do to keep your brain limber and healthier and less likely to develop the cognitive impairments. So engaging your brain in that way, just like engaging your body, helps it to stay healthier for a longer period of time and help to work for you. So time estimate for that is a little 2 minutes to just take a mental break. Somebody mentioned the prayer app that they were using. So go for a walk in nature. Being in nature is naturally calming to the brain and the nervous system, right? Even if you're sitting there out in nature, looking at the trees, breathing in the fresh air, hearing the birds chirp. And then if you can, walk as well. Get your circulation going, get more oxygen into your body, into your brain, and just be present in the moment. So try not to be thinking about the work and the problems, just look at and appreciate everything around you. Learn and practice some simple in-the-moment mindfulness techniques. So I'm going to go through a few of them with you before we end today. So these are some of my favorites that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So one of them is, do a little time check here. One of them is what we call PQ reps. PQ stands for your positivity quotient or positive intelligence quotient. So one of the things like I utilize hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, emotional freedom technique, and positive intelligence to help my clients with making those behavior changes or optimizing their performance capabilities. And in the positive intelligence work, we teach about PQ reps. Very easy to do, 10 seconds at a time, and they're tied into any of your senses. So what you're doing is just for 10 seconds at a time, pull all your attention to one sensation that you can notice. So let me do some demonstrations, and I want you to follow along with me, okay? So one of the simplest ones you can start with, and you can do this even while, you can do this while you're in a meeting, you can do this, well, you could do it when you're driving if you have one hand on the wheel. But there are some other better ones to do while you're driving. But you can do it when you're around other people. You can do it when you're alone. Is simply taking your fingers and just for a moment, and sometimes closing your eyes helps you to be even more attentive. So I want you to do this with me and notice how easy or hard it is for you to stay fully focused for 10 seconds without any other thoughts coming into your mind except the sensation of you rubbing your fingers, okay? So let's start now. Rubbing your fingers slowly together, such a tension that you can really feel the ridges of your fingertips. That was about 10 seconds. Now, shift to the feeling of your butt in the seat and the sensation of the pressure of your butt against that seat. Full attention and no judgment, no criticism, just awareness of the sensation. Now, turn your attention to your feet and wiggle your toes. Just get a sense of all 10 of your beautiful, wonderful toes wiggling there in your shoes. 10 seconds in that sensation. And now I'm gonna pause for a moment for 10 seconds. Just notice a sound in the room around you that's close to you or far away, and all the elements of that sound, the pitch, the tone, the volume, etc. for 10 seconds. Now open your eyes and look at the palm of your hand. And just for 10 seconds, look at the palm of your hand without any judgment or criticism, just full awareness, let go of all other thoughts. Notice the lines, the curves, the color, the variations of color, jewelry on your fingers, and awe and appreciation of all those unique lines in your hand. Bring your attention back up. Great. So we just did at least about a minute of PQ reps. So 10 seconds at a time, and you can string them together and do it as long as you need to till you feel that sense of relaxation. Your mind is relaxing, your thoughts are relaxing, your body is relaxing, the tension is fading away. Anybody feel better after just that 1 minute? Feel a little bit more calm, centered, focused? How many of you had some problems with the thoughts starting to come in? I'm trying to focus on my hands, not that there, right? It can be challenging, but just get started. The more you do it, the easier it gets for you to have longer periods of time of just quiet space in your mind. All right, so that's PQ reps. Emotional freedom technique. Anybody know EFT tapping? Few of you, great. So I'll just briefly demonstrate that. If you sign up for the self-care guide, you'll get my weekly newsletter as well. You can unsubscribe if you want to. But I talk a lot about EFT and give demonstrations and give resources to learning about EFT. Really, really fabulous technique. It stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, also known as tapping, because we're tapping on trigger points on our body that have a direct connection to our brain and our nervous system, and that helps to calm the fight or flight, the amygdala. It subdues the activation of the amygdala, which it creates that fight or flight response within us, and it activates this area of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is where reason, logic, problem solving, creativity, capability comes from, and your positive emotional state. So emotions are actually chemicals that are released that cause us to feel in these certain ways. So this area of the brain is responsible for producing those feel-good chemicals, endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, all those feel-good chemicals, and each one does something a little bit different. So tapping actually stimulates the release of these chemicals and calms the amygdala. So you can go from a state of negativity, anger, frustration, confusion, sadness, etc., into a state of calm, peace, presencing, possibility in just a few minutes of doing the tapping. So very quick, little easy way to do tapping is what I call the breathe and tap technique. Now there's a variety of techniques you can learn to do EFT for different things. This is one of the simplest ones. You simply tap lightly on what we call the karate chop on the side of your hand, and take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, and out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. So you want to do 2 to 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth at the karate chop point. Then you go to the next point, top of the head. Slow, deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Then you go to the inside of the eyes, right between the bridge of your nose and the beginning of your eyebrow. Deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time. And let it go. Side of the eyes, right outside the corner of your eye towards your hairline. You can also rub or just do a pulsing pressure. I noticed somebody was just kind of rubbing. Any of those ways, tap, rub, or a little pulsing pressure will stimulate that stressor point. And then you go under the eyes. Under the nose. Are you feeling it already? Because you're getting present. You're creating rhythm and pattern. You're breathing. All these things help to calm the nervous system. Then you've got under the arm. There's 2 ways to do this. What we call the monkey, right here where your bra strap is. Okay? So it's about 4 inches below your armpit, just a little bit below the nipple point. If you got a bra on, this is where you tap like this. Or if you don't have too large of a chest, then like this, what we call the hug. So it's like giving yourself a hug. In through the nose, out through the mouth, wrist points together. And if you find yourself yawning while you're doing this, that's a good thing too. That means you're releasing stress and energy. I yawn a lot when I do the tap. Right? And then we end back at the top of the head. So if you're doing this yourself, 2 to 3 deep breaths in and out, it just takes a couple of minutes, and I guarantee you're going to feel a shift, a downshift in your negative energy levels, your emotions. okay? So that's as simple as it is. Did that take more than 15 minutes? No, only took a couple of minutes. All right, the next thing is, and some people mention it, these different apps that are out there. Calm.com is one of my favorites, CALM.com. And then there's tons of apps. Insight Timer is a really popular one. All different kinds of apps. And some of these have videos you can actually watch. So the visual helps you to calm down, or you can just listen to it. Guided ones, all different time frames. As little as 2 minutes can make a positive impact on downshifting and shifting out of those negative emotions into the positive and giving your brain a rest. You can find things on YouTube, great meditations. Again, just a couple of minutes. I have some favorite 5-minute guided meditations that I'll listen to first thing in the morning when I get up. So I start my day off in a calm, peaceful way. Pause, Breathe, Reflect app. A friend of mine created that. Really, really great stuff on that. So a lot of these have free versions and then paid versions where you get more stuff with them. But at least just start off with the free one. And then you've got different ones for, kind of phone. So Android or an iPhone. Anybody have one of those apps that they use? Yeah, with the Positive Intelligence program, we have an app that goes with it. So I have my alarm set on my phone for 3 times a day to remind me to go in and use the app and use some of the exercises in there. So we are at 10:45, so we can wrap up now. Anybody else want to share a self-care tip or, yes?
Tonight, was that I listened to a rain.
Oh yes, listen to white noise or sounds of rain or ocean waves, right? Really soothing and calming to your brain and your nervous system. Back there.
You were talking about the blue light?
Yes, the blue light.
You can buy prescription glasses, blue light filters. You can buy those readers, and you can buy non-prescription.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Blue light, I use it sometimes. I put the timer on my TV.
Yes.
And I always look to see before the timer turns off.
Yes.
Yeah,
the blue light glasses, so
hook them up like this.
perfect. Yeah, I found a cheap, pair in the dollar store.
Yeah.
So wear that, or again, you can get them with your prescription lenses. Yes.
I took off my fluorescent lights in my room and
Turn-
turned on the soccer lights.
Yeah, so yeah, get rid of the fluorescent or try to use it as less as possible. Get those soft light bulbs. Those are much better, again, for your circadian rhythms. So great, all these good little things that you can do. So if you need more ideas and support, as I mentioned, on your seats, and if you're viewing this video, you can use the links there, bit.ly/self-care guide 2023. So you can get the other tips and reminders of this one. And just, I'll show you what this looks like. So I just printed a few pages of the guide to kind of give you an idea. So there's a lot more in here than I shared today. And for each of the steps, so there's a table of contents with the different tips. And so for each of the steps, you're going to have a reminder of why this is going to be beneficial. What's this going to do for you if you engage in this self-care habit? And these quick start ideas that I shared, and then some space for writing your plan or commitment for that one. You don't have to do all of them, pick one to start with, right? One you can get started with. So as you think today about that, think about what are some of the things you could do. So I'm gonna share one final note before I end, but what I'd like you to do while we have these just a couple of minutes to wrap up is to pull out that sheet. You'll have something that looks like this on your chair, but 1/4. All right, and if you don't have one, you can share with somebody, but you can also use the link. So I put the links up there so you can get that self-care guide with that link or scan the QR code in blue. Now the bonus that I talked about is that guided relaxation audio that I have. It's called Relax Into Life. So if you want that bonus audio, you'll get that by filling out a very short survey. All you do is click the face that represents each of the attributes. Was this engaging? Was it participatory? Did you learn something from this? There's just five attributes that you click one of those faces on for how much you liked it. And that will be sent so that I can know the feedback for this talk. And if you want to, email me and share other ideas about it, feel free to do that. So the link for that is talk.ac/Lisa Smith. And although I think it might be lowercase, I'm not sure if it's case sensitive. So if that doesn't work, then use all lowercase for my name. And then you just type in the code RELAX, all capital letters, and then you'll get the audio immediately to download. Okay? So I will appreciate the feedback for that. So with that, I'm going to end with one thing that I end all my talks with. You came, you spent this time in your life, right? You can't get this time back. It's gone. Right? And there's a saying that knowledge is power. But that's only part of the equation. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is trivia. It's potential power. When does it become power? When you use it, right? So harness your power, that's the theme of this conference, by using at least one thing that you learned today. Right? Otherwise, it was just a waste of your time, right? Until you do something different, you don't get something different. So, thank you everybody for attending today, for your attention. I bless you all. And again, what's the mantra? One more time. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-preservation. You got it.